welcome to Your Favourite Teacher. Today we're going to be looking at Storm on the Island from the Power and Conflict cluster. Heaney's poem Storm on the Island, as the title suggests, shows a very violent, volatile relationship between humans and nature. However, the poem also uses nature as a metaphor to express more complex ideas about inner conflicts and our experiences of fear itself. Within the poem, its unnamed speaker accounts the preparation of himself and others in the community for a storm approaching their island. As the poem continues, the speaker details the threats which nature wields and the manner in which the people on the island manage that threat. The first three words of the poem are significant in setting the tone. We are prepared, implying a sense of calm and confidence with which the speaker feels. This calm tone is not only achieved by the simple short sentence Heaney uses here, but also by the pronoun we, which implies a sense of unity. Throughout the poem, there are various instances in which collective pronouns, we and us, are used in order to emphasise this feeling of unity amongst the people inhabiting the island. Furthermore, the confident tone is emphasised by the matter-of-fact way in which the speaker lists their preparations, when he says, "We build our houses squat, sink walls in rock and roof them with good slate." Again, the simple manner in which Heaney lists these actions makes the speaker seem so much more confident. However, the references to the houses being squat and made of rock and slate enhances this sense of confidence. This is because the adjective squat implies a sense of solidity and sturdiness, while the materials of rock and slate have similar connotations. Interestingly, the speaker's relationship with nature is first seen where they state, "The wizened earth has never troubled us," with hay. The adjective wizened, meaning shriveled, helps to create an image of the island for the reader, as it implies that the island is withered and decrepit in some way, perhaps vulnerable, which enhances the possible dangers of the storm. However, this also emphasises the way in which nature does not provide comfort for the inhabitants of the island, as they have never been troubled with hay or any other stacks and stooks that can be lost. The inhospitable image of the island is almost emphasised when the speaker states, "Nor are there trees, which might prove company." Whilst this is overall very negative because it implies that the island is inhospitable and that the people who live there lead hard lives, it also emphasises again the confidence of the speaker, as here they adopt a very optimistic tone towards the potential threat of the storm. Furthermore, that optimistic tone is emphasised when he states that the wind can raise a chorus in a gale, implying the way in which the speaker sees some beauty in the destruction of the storm. Overall then, the entire first half of the poem establishes a very optimistic, confident speaker in their preparations for the storm in an already dire, uncomforting situation. Violent imagery is used throughout the poem to describe nature. Verbs like pummels, as well as exploding, flung and spits, are used to emphasise the destruction which the storm seems to bring to the island. However, Heaney also uses very militaristic language to characterise the storm. He describes how the people are bombarded by the air. Also, the metaphor "space is a salvo" compares the empty air in which the storm travels to the firing of cannons. Despite all of this violent imagery, the speaker remains calm. The line, "We just sit tight while wind dives," emphasises the speaker's sarcastic tone and calm demeanour. Also, the simile, "spits like a tame cat turns savage," seems at first to imply the threat which the speaker faces through the use of aggressive language like spits and savage. However, on closer consideration, the simile also says that underneath the violence of the storm, it's just as harmless as a tame cat, even if it is momentarily a bit savage. A similar idea is conveyed through the description of the sea exploding comfortably. The oxymoron here uses the juxtaposition of exploding and comfortably in order to emphasise the same point. Even though there is danger and a potential threat nearby, the speaker feels confident about his ability to face it. The idea of being bombarded by the empty air creates a similar feeling of confidence once you consider that the adjective empty implies a lack of a real threat. However, it is the final line of the poem which is most revealing in communicating Heaney's overall message. The line, "Strange, it is a huge nothing that we fear," seems to turn the whole point on its head. After all the aggressive, violent language and the potential destruction of the storm, the word strange and Heaney's use of the comma seems to force the reader to pause and reconsider whether or not the storm is actually a threat. The oxymoron huge nothing also forces the reader to reconsider the threat on this island, as the oxymoron creates an image of the storm as being nothing to really fear, as previously suggested by words like empty and invisible, which describe the storm, and the air, which carries it as threat without any real substance. Final word of the poem helps readers understand the overall message even better. If taken as a metaphor, the storm itself is something very different than a physical storm. The storm can be seen as a metaphor for fear, where the island which it attacks is not an actual island, but in fact an individual's mind. Heaney makes it possible for us to interpret the island as being simply someone's mind, because the images of an island has connotations of isolation and loneliness, just like the inner workings of the human mind. Taken as a metaphor then, the poem expresses not just the confidence required by the island's inhabitants to ride out the storm, but actually expresses the kind of confidence needed to face fear. The huge nothing of the storm by the end is not actually just the emptiness of the air, but actually also the nothingness that is fear. So readers can ultimately see that their fear is just a figment of their own imagination. I'm Miss Meeks, and we've been looking at Storm on the Island.